gears here a little bit. We were talking about, well, one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you was this idea of like let's be dads and talk about how we're teaching our kids principles, and we're teaching our kids to be good people, obviously Christ-centered people. And you shared with me this idea of having a mission mindset in your home. Wow, man, you are awesome. Now, walk us through that a little bit, what that is.
Yeah, I think I'm realizing it. As I mentioned before, my daughter is 18, and it really feels like yesterday that she was born. And 18 years goes by so fast. She's getting ready to go to college next in the fall, and you have to be intentional with your parenting. And how do you want to shape your kids? I think that's a question you need to be asking before you become a dad, when you first become a dad, and every day you're a dad. You need to be asking
how do we
want
to shape our kids?
Yeah, and my wife and I have really made an effort to make sure that, for one, we're pointing them to Christ, but then we're also emphasizing the importance of helping others and serving others. And so we started a group 5.5 years ago called Hope, Helping Other People Everywhere. And it's a group that includes kids. It's basically a small group for families. And we meet together twice a week, or twice a month, I should say. And the first time we meet here at our house, the first time of the month, we meet at our house, and we share a meal together. Everybody brings a little something. We usually make the main part of the meal. And we eat together, and then we talk, and we share a little devotional together, and then we probably do a little service project. So it could be something as simple as making cards for vets, which is the project we did this past month. But then when we get together again, the third week of the month, we go and serve somewhere. We meet at a location and serve. So last night, actually, we were at the VA hospital in Spring City, which is not far from us, and we played bingo with the residents there.
Oh, wow.
And
I'm sure that just made their day.
Oh, sure. They were happy to talk and tell us their stories about how they served in different aspects of our military service for our country. It's a great opportunity for us to learn from them, for them to be able to share their story, things like that. So we've done all kinds of different things. We've served at women's shelters and food pantries, and I don't know, there's so many different places. Riding stables for therapeutic riding for kids who need some help in that way. I mean, we've done a lot of different things.
Now, is this something that's just sort of a local organization, or is there like chapters nationally, or?
Not yet. Maybe someday.
Man, I'm thinking there might be a Lake Elsinore chapter. I like this. Oh, this sounds really good.
Yeah, and so we started it when our kids were smaller, and they got to be part of it. I mean, the kids have prayed for meals. They've helped to lead some of the activities we've done. They've been an integral part of it, and they've gotten to see the value of serving others. And so the Hope thing is really great. I'd encourage you, open up the West Coast chapter of Hope.
There we go. Oh, yeah.
And so that's been a big part of a mission mindset for our family. But we also have taken it to another level where we have gotten involved in international missions as a family. And I always thought, I was either going to go into engineering or I was going to go into the mission field. But this is kind of diverting for where I was going to go, but for right now. But I was convinced when I came out of college, I came to the realization that God needs Christians in the workplace, and that is a mission field.
Yeah.
And so I try to have a mission mindset at work. But at any rate, God also did not let that feeling of wanting to serve overseas go. And so a few years ago, my youth pastor asked me if I would go along to Guatemala with the youth group as a chaperone. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm not sure I'm ready for this. First of all, I don't want to leave my wife and son here at home alone. where I'll be miles and miles and
Oh,
miles and
yeah.
miles away. And then secondly, do I really want to hang out with 30 or so teenagers all week in a third world country?
Oh,
But you know what? I took a leap of faith and I went on that trip, and it changed my life in many ways. When I came back, I was, of course, had the opportunity to tell my story about it. If you search on my blog for Guatemala, there's hundreds of posts about Guatemala.
oh,
Uh,
yeah.
but the following year, our family was trying to think about how we wanted to spend our vacation, and we made a decision that we wanted to go to Guatemala. So the four of us
Wow.
worked with the missionary that I had connected with down in Guatemala, and one thing led to the other, and we ended up in Guatemala that next summer. And we served meals to hundreds of kids down there, and we served the widows in the community in a village called Santo Domingo Xenico. And it's just a beautiful place. It's captured my heart.
Oh, I could see it on your face. I could see the that's why I love video here, because I could see it, man. It's sincere. That's
So,
oh,
yeah, it's
wow.
amazing. So we went back a couple summers ago for a second time as a family, and we built two houses in a week and had an opportunity to serve meals to kids and work with the widows again. And we didn't go this past summer, but we're planning to go for 2 weeks this summer.
Wow.
And I cannot wait. It is going to be such a great experience to be back with the people who I've come to love in that village.
Man, there's nothing wrong with wanting to go surfing or wanting to go to Disney World or whatever, so there's nothing against people who do that for their vacation. But there certainly is something special, lifelong learning for your kids.
Yeah,
There's a bunch of other things, but for your kids to go through that experience, oh my goodness.
this is the funny thing about it is that my wife and I had been saving some money to go to Europe this coming summer. It's going to be our 20th anniversary this summer.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you. And our daughter was going to be graduating from high school, so
It's
this would
gonna
be
be
a great
expensive.
time. Yeah, it was going to be expensive. It was going to be, it was a great opportunity though to go. And we started talking to the kids about it, and they weren't real excited about going to Europe. They were like, "We'd rather go to Guatemala."
Oh man, well done, good and
So
faithful servant.
yeah, so it's really cool. So that money that we were saving, we're going to be able to use to get us down there and to at least pay for our meals and stuff down there. We're going to have to do some other fundraising to raise money for the projects that we will do down there. But I'm telling you, it is so cool that that's where our kids wanted to go
Oh,
for vacation. So this summer, I'll be celebrating my 20th anniversary in the village of Santo Domingo Xenico
oh
with my
man.
wife and my kids. It's a really neat thing. So talk about having a mission mindset. Uh,
Wow. Wow.
it's
Well,
there.
when you first said mission, and I like how you started small and then it goes really big, because when you first said mission, it was a little intimidating to me, because I'm thinking mission. I'm not in a position I could travel internationally. I don't, that scares the heck out of me, and I need to take baby steps. But then you talk about hope, and you talk about bingo or the VA, or little things like that. That is a mission mindset as well, and it's very approachable for anyone,
Well,
and
and
they
I
can
think,
find it through their church or local community organizations.
yeah, I mean, really, we've done most of the research on our own, or the people in our group have found a place that they're interested in, and we've contacted them and been able to do it. But I think it does cross over to your entire life. So you don't have to go to a third world country. You don't have to raise all kinds of money to go on mission.
Yeah.
It is right in your neighborhood. It's right in your house, probably. It's right in the place where you work. And so conditioning your mind to think, all right, how am I going to serve God right today? How am I going to represent him well in what I'm doing today? I think that's part of having a mission mindset.
Yeah, and I could tell you a few things that we've done. I've done with my son, right back, sort of right back to the small groups thing. Is there's when you're plugged into groups, especially centered around the church, there are these opportunities, and we've done a few things helping out here and there. And I can tell you my experience, particularly one, we helped a lady whose husband, who has since passed away, but we were helping her rebuild a fence she needed. And what a blessing. We were far more blessed than she was for the 6 hours that we worked. And this was early in the summer, and my son still talks about it.
Yeah,
It's like,
we've
wow.
had the same experiences. I can't even begin to tell you how many times we've gone with the intention of helping people, but we've left with far more than we gave them.
Man, well, when you go, this podcast is still going to be here when you get back. We're going to have to talk about your trip. I'm going to want to hear about. I've got a friend who's right now in Haiti, he's been James Robertson. He's been on, I guess, before. He's in Haiti building orphanages. He's going to come back and he's going to talk about that experience. And I was just thinking about it. I'm like, I want to have you talk about that experience. This is because what an adventure for
Yeah.
Jesus, an adventure for your family, an adventure for life. We start wrapping it up here. Your blog, we have barely even, I don't know, we haven't even talked about the blog. Well, you did the seven day challenge, or 7 week
Right.
challenge. Wait, what do we?
7 week
7 week
7 week
challenge.
stretch challenge. 7 week stretch challenge. Say that
Say
10
that. There
times
we go.
fast.
There.
So yeah, that's something that you can sign up for on my blog, and you'll get an email once a week that basically gives you a challenge, gives you a little thought to think about, and then challenges you. So the first week, as we alluded to earlier, is all about stilling yourself, and then I
Okay.
go from there. And I basically am using the letters of stretch
Oh, perfect.
to
Perfect.
challenge my readers.
And you're building a special link for the listeners of this show.
Right. So if you go to johnstolpe.com/Rocco, there will be a page there that you can sign up for the 7 week stretch challenge. There I go again. Or I've also, oh, not just or, and you can also sign up to get a free copy of the first chapter of my book, actually the introduction and the first chapter.
Oh,
So
that's
I'd love
great.
to give that to your listeners.
That's
And
awesome.
obviously, if you want to do more with that, you can obviously go to Amazon and buy the book, but I'd love to give you a taste of what the book is about. It's an easy read. I've had many people tell me, wow, that you stated it so simply and yet in such a way that challenged me. And I think that, it might be something. You don't have to be a runner to read this book. You
Right,
really
right.
don't. There are a lot of running analogies, but believe me, the way, at least I'd like to think this, the way I wrote it, I think it can relate to anybody.
I agree. It definitely connects. I just looked. It's like 42 pages, and it's not like, oh, it's only 42 pages. It's 42 pages. There's most books we read are 200 pages, and there's 160 pages of blah 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 or repeat repeat. This is like quick and to the point, and it just tells you what you need to build that framework. It's well worth whatever. I don't know what it costs on Amazon. You were gracious to give me do we call it a reviewer copy? I don't know. Thank you for the copy, but it's well worth whatever, $5-6 or whatever it is on Amazon. I think I looked, it was $8, and then they slash the price. I don't know, whatever they do.
Yeah.
It's worth whatever the price is. So that's awesome, and I'll put a link to that in the show notes. And then it's Jon, Jon. That's not
That's
John,
correct.
Jon Stolpe, and as you say, what did you say there? It's like Stolpe, like Dopey, like Dopey.
Right.
Stolpe, and I'll put a link in the show notes to that. What other places? What's a good way for people? Other ways for people
I
to.
am on Twitter, at Jon Stolte. I do have a Facebook page, Jon Stolte Stretched. So if you
Oh,
look
cool.
that up, but really, if you come to my blog, that would be the best place to get plugged in and see what I'm doing on a regular basis. So johnstolpe.com, and of course, if you use that special page for Rocco, you can get the free chapter of the book, and you can also sign up for the stretch challenge.
That's
And
awesome.
I really think it's something that will encourage you. I think it's something that will stretch you. And
I I'm on your email list. I don't think I signed up for that, so I'm going to do that when I get off of Skype here. I'm going to sign up for
all
that.
right, that's what I like to hear. But one of my favorite sayings is, stretching or growing, you're not really living. And I think that, we're called to keep growing and stretching and being challenged. And I hope that this 7-week challenge will encourage people to do that.
I'm excited about it. I want to ask you one more thing, and if you have anything else that you want to add, jump into. I like to. One of the things I get totally geeky about whenever I meet anybody, I want to know what podcasts they listen to. You don't have to tell me all 20, but what are some of your favorite podcasts, and what are you reading? Do you have any books to recommend?
Yeah, wow. Gosh, I listen to a lot of podcasts. So I listen to the Dave Ramsey podcast every day just to get me some good financial wisdom. I listen to the Daily Audio Bible, which I mentioned before. I try to make that the first podcast I listen to every day.
Is that literally like reading the Bible, or do they
Yep.
give an exposition of it?
Brian Harden is the host there, and he reads the Bible. He reads a section from the Old Testament, the New Testament, Psalms, and a verse or two from Proverbs every day.
Oh, okay.
And then sometimes he'll talk and expound on it a little bit. And then at the last few minutes of it is prayer requests that people have shared through the community.
Oh, wow.
So
and how long are those episodes usually?
Usually 30 to 45 minutes.
Cool. Okay.
So it's for me, I run on the treadmill every morning, and so I can
there you
put
go.
that in and get fed a little bit while I'm running. So those are two. I listen to the one you mentioned. I listen to the Cliff Ravenscraft show, which he just renamed.
Yeah.
I listen to the Ray Edwards show. I listen to Michael Hyatt. I listen to just a lot of them. There are so many good podcasts out there, and it's hard to say no to them. One of the ones that I've found recently is Life is a Marathon.
Oh.
I don't know if you're familiar with that one.
I don't know it.
Now the name of the host is eluding me. I should remember it, but you can look that up and put it in the show notes. But that's a good one. It's an encouraging, positive thought for the day. I don't think he posts every day, but a few times a week.
Cool.
And it's a guy who's gone through tough times and is finding the positive out of it. So I think you would relate to it, and what we've talked about a little bit, both during the interview and before, I think would relate to you.
Oh, for sure. What about some books? Any books to recommend?
Sure. There's a lot that I've read.
I'll put you on the spot.
My favorite book last year was actually Traveling Mercies by Anne Lamott. It's more of a memoir, and it's a little messy, but it's a great story. It's a great read. I think it will challenge the way you think about faith and about what it looks like to have a relationship with Jesus. So that's one that I would definitely recommend. I read a lot of leadership books, so there's a lot that I could probably touch on there. I'm reading right now H3 Leadership by Brad Lomnick, and so far it's
you cut out there for a second. Did you say it cut out for a second? Sorry, it was Brad Lomnick, right?
Yeah, Brad Lomnick, who is associated with the Catalyst podcast.
I was going to say that's another really good podcast.
Yeah, Relevant podcast is a good podcast too. That kind of keeps you culturally intact or up to speed with things. There was another one I was going to recommend. One of my favorite books from the last 5 years or so was The Circle Maker by Mark Batterson. And that's all about prayer. So that would certainly be one I would recommend. And maybe On Track, Life Lessons from the
There you go. I love it. I remember we talked about Circle Maker last time we were talking, so I'm glad you remembered, or I'm glad you mentioned that, because I've got to get that.
It's a good book. I mean, you may not agree with every single thing he says, but I'll tell you what, it'll challenge you to think differently about prayer. And it's probably one I need to go back and read again, maybe on an annual basis.
Oh, I like it. That's great. Jon, this has been really cool. I've had a good time, and we're gonna have to have you back on because we have so much more we could talk about. I know, we'll definitely have you back on for Guatemala, but I mean, we could just talk. I find that with my guests, I'm like, I could just talk forever, and this is great. I've been so blessed with these amazing people, and Jon Stople. I mean, what a great score! What a great guest! I love it.
Well, thank you so much. It's really, like I said at the beginning, it's a privilege and honor to be part of your show and to see you developing as a podcaster. I've been listening now for a few months, and it's neat to see where you're going, and see how you just wrestle out loud with what God is teaching you. So keep doing it, keep stretching, keep figuring things out, and keep telling your story. You've got something worth sharing.
Thanks, brother. Thank you so much. Well, it's been great, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks.